Medals are at stake here at the FIA Motorsport Games because for the GT discipline, the cars are on the grid for the main race. They've had a qualifying race that sorted out this grid. Now it's an hour of racing, and at the end, 3 nations will have a medal apiece. The medals table is being led by Spain, but pole position for this race claimed by United Kingdom. The start driver is going to be James Cottingham aboard the Ferrari that he'd never raced up until about 4 hours ago, and won first time out. He shares with Chris Froggatt. It's going to be a fascinating race, that is for sure. 60 minutes with a pit window between 25 and 35 minutes. David Addison and Joe Osborne trackside. You're probably familiar with the GT3 concept. Well, some of the names, some of the drivers, some of the cars are familiar. The liveries are all different because they all carry the nation's colours. But this is going to be a fascinating hour, that is for sure. James Cottingham there with his hands device on is going to be the start driver for the United Kingdom. Hubert Haupt will be with him on the front row for Germany. And the Ferrari drivers then good to go. Chris Froggatt on the right as you look, the Sky Tempesta racing team operating the Ferrari. That was so strong, Joe Osborne, in the earlier qualifying race.
Yeah, dominant, won by nearly 15 seconds in the end. But dominant in qualifying one was Team Germany. Hubert Haupt, 6/10 clear of Cottingham in that qualifying. So there's different aspects at play here. At the moment, you would say it's favour Cottingham, but over 1 lap pace, this Mercedes from Germany was so strong. Hugely experienced Hubert Haupt behind the wheel, one of the best, one of the fastest bronzes out there. So the race between the first 2 is definitely going to be exciting.
So there we have the start drivers aboard, and James Cottingham and Chris Froggatt then, having had a race win, now won a gold medal. Antonia Rankin is on the grid with them.
Guys, it's been a good weekend for you so far. Are you feeling confident?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the car has the pace. James is starting in the best position. We've just got to keep it clean and hope we come out the first corner in first place, and he'll take it from there.
Yeah, it's like Chris said, it's about trying to manage the start of the race, and then if we can hold that position, I think it's difficult to pass here, so that's what we want to do.
Good luck, guys. Have fun out there.
James Cottingham and Chris Froggatt have raced against each other, but never been a partnership. So it's interesting to see how that has gelled so effectively with that earlier win. It's Chris Froggatt's regular car. Chris Froggatt made his name in Ferraris before he came into GT racing in a Ferrari, then went Mercedes, then McLaren, then back to Ferrari. But perversely, it was Chris that had a track limit penalty and went through the gravel in the earlier race.
Yeah, he had a lively stint, didn't he? And he was lucky, I think, when he went through the gravel on the exit at turn 12, not to cause any lasting damage. Cottingham had a pretty relaxed stint, didn't have to overtake, had a good gap, but his pace was good. And then you see the field stretching behind another Mercedes. We saw a really good opening stint from Yannick Mettler, didn't we? Hand over to Dexter Muller, who will start that car. Had a good stint, not the best. We saw Hubert Haupt get past him and then pull away. So Dexter Muller will be looking for a little bit more pace than he had at the end of that qualifying race. Then we have the Spanish Audi R8 that always seemed to be in a battle throughout the race. So now it's starting more towards the front. Can they have a cleaner race, I wonder?
Now, Team Germany is another competitive nation. Finn Wiebelhaus will do the second stint, and the teenager is with Antonia.
Well, you guys, you're starting in second, but you've got a real amount of pace behind you. Do you think you'll be able to catch up to that Ferrari coming down to turn 1?
Sure we can. Like all weekend we were fast, so we just struggled in the race 1, learned out of the mistakes we did, and now full push and send it.
If you do get into the car for the second stint into P2, what will you do to get ahead?
Push, force them into a mistake, or just overtake. Yeah.
Good luck.
Thanks.
There is a master plan. You can't argue with that.
Yeah, it's quite one-track mind. I like it. Nice bit of dry humour as well, just trying to maybe take his focus on the stress that he will be feeling, because he knows in 25 to 35 minutes after this race starts, he will be getting in and bringing that car home, and he will have a good chance to determine what colour the medal is that car is going to take home.
Now, this man was the star of the qualifying race for Spain, Fernando Navarrete, who just charged and charged and charged, almost to the dismay of his co-driver, who leant over the pit wall and sort of pointed at his temples as if to say, just think about what you're doing. But having never raced that car before, Navarrete was a real gun.
Yeah, he was a hot knife, wasn't he? And everyone else was his butter, and he sliced through really nicely. Did a nice celebration as well at the end of the race, parked up on the exit of turn 1 in front of the home crowd, obviously, for Team Spain, and gave that V10 a lovely rev. So, yeah, he seemed to be a doer, didn't he? You get some drivers that are quite passive, very calm, metronomic, whereas Navarrete seemed like he wanted to make a show, and I'm excited to watch him as well.
And Spain, not just the host nation, but one of the ASNs, one of the nations that really does embrace the whole concept of FIA Motorsport Games, whether it's up at the GT3 level or to the humble, in comparison, electric karting slalom. So for the Lithuanian team, the driver being strapped aboard is Arūnas Gečauskas. And we can hear from the Spanish team. Let's go back down to join Antonia, who is with Jorge Cabezas, who will do stint 2 for Spain.
Jorge, what beautiful weather we have here for your home race. How special is it to be a Spanish driver at a Spanish weekend?
Oh, that's incredible to represent a Spanish team here on Spain, the FIA Motorsport Games, with all our fans. They push us to get the better result. Now we start from P4. I think we can go to the medals. Race before, Fernando have done a very good race. He have done a very good recovery in the final laps. Hope we can finish on the medals and for sure on the gold ones.
I'm sure you'll be great. Now, we saw some pit signals during the qualifying race. What were those about?
The qualifying race was so difficult at the start because the track was a little bit wet. It was only one line dry. In the first stint, it was completely impossible to overtake. It was my stint, but I was driving with my head, pushing a little bit for the other ones to make he to have any errors. And then it works. They have got some track limits. They have some penalties, and like that we can improve and overtake some positions. And now is the final one, the important. Let's try to do our best.
All the best. Thank you very much.
Jorge Cabezas being interviewed. And this what she was referring to in the pit signals. That was after Navarrete had blasted his way through the traffic. Instead of being happy that he'd gained a place, look at the frown. Jorge Cabezas, I think, felt that some of the energy was unnecessary for a qualifying race. What do you reckon?
Yeah, interesting signal to throw to your teammate at 200 kilometres an hour as
yes,
well.
Indeed.
So, yeah, if only we had a communication device where audio could be transmitted from the pits to the car, that would make life a little easier, wouldn't it?
So there is the Ukraine entry that is going to be started here by Konstantin Gutsul, who dropped a little bit of pace, didn't he, in the second stint. It's going to be the bronze-graded driver in the bronze-silver pairings that will go first. I say that because Japan has 2 bronzes, but in theory, the quicker driver will be in for the second stint, but that's not to say that these drivers are slow, far from it. Hubert Haupt, go back to 1990, 1991, was part of the DTM Audi factory team, carried on racing for many seasons, went off to race single-seaters in America, and eventually called time on his career and built up his real estate business, came back to racing, and he's a shiny bronze, so very, very quick bronze driver. For China, that car dropped away also in the second stint, but Yaqi Zhang is going to start, and Yaqi Zhang will try to keep the car in the mix to then give way to Kang Ling, who did a really good job for China, keeping the car in the mix in the opening stint. Grid being cleared then. It's going to be a rolling start. Reminder, pit window 25 to 35 minutes, 56 seconds is the regulation pit stop time. We have represented Germany, Malaysia, Qatar, Spain, Chinese Taipei, Ukraine, Switzerland, Japan, Lithuania, China, France, United Kingdom. Gold medal 2 years ago, France. Eric Debard, who was part of that gold medal winning combination, is the start driver for this 1 hour GT race, at the end of which 3 medals will be awarded. So the drone hovers over the grid as now the cars are released, and the Mercedes-AMG pace car as it is accelerates off down towards turn 1, and a last chance to get some warmth into the Pirelli tyres.
Yeah, no tyre ovens allowed. It's quite rare in GT3 world now not to be using any device to warm the tyres, so these drivers really having to work it hard. Then on the other end of the scale, there's a tyre pressure that the cars can't be below, so you want to get that as low as possible, because as the race goes on, the tyre pressure creeps up and it can go outside of its operating window quite easily.
United Kingdom on pole position, James Cottingham the driver. For Germany, on the outside of the front row, it is Hubert Haupt. On the second row of the grid, you will find Switzerland. Dexter Müller starts, and for Spain, it is Fernando Navarrete alongside. Then Lithuania, Arūnas Gečauskas is the starting driver, and for Ukraine, Konstantin Gutsul goes first. And a spin for Qatar. I'll come to them in a moment, because on the fourth row, China represented by Yaqi Zhang, and for France, it is Eric Debarde. The spinning Qatar driver, Ibrahim Ali Al-Abdulghani, and for Chinese Taipei, it is Kuo Hin Ho. Then you've got Japan's Kai Nakanishi and Malaysia's Selim Rafiq to round out the grid. Now, Qatar should stay at the back of the grid, because everybody had gone past the Porsche. In theory, therefore, it should start on the back of the grid, effectively its own row, rather than trying to retake the grid position. And looking into the distance, it's, I fear, doing the overtaking. So that should be a slap on the wrist at the very least for Qatar, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think you can even see him flashing the headlights, trying to get his position back. But you're quite right, as soon as you drop to the back of the field, that is the position you must start in. So already a question for race control there before the lights have even been turned off and to green.
So the Qatar Porsche, it may be possible to communicate via the message line to say to the team to tell the driver start at the back. It may not be possible, and it may be decided that no, you've already committed the offence, so a penalty must come. We'll find out. The Qatar Porsche is absolutely immaculate. The colour scheme of the purple and the grey works so well on that. But up front, it is the red, white and blue of the UK taking on the black, red and yellow colours of Germany. And now they start to get themselves in that 2x2 Noah's Ark formation, ready for the rolling start. The pace car, as it is, will bail at the end of turn 14. Chinese Taipei Mercedes then rumbles into position on the outside look of Qatar's Porsche. Up they come to turn 14. For the nations, it is United Kingdom and Germany on the front row. For the brands, it is Ferrari and Mercedes. For the drivers, it is James Cottingham and Hubert Haupt. And the French Audi a little bit out of position in the middle of the road. That doesn't always go down well with race control. The lights on red on the gantry are about to change, and the medal-defining race for GT is go. Could get away by the Ferrari, and so for United Kingdom, James Cottingham tries to out-drag Germany. Hubert Haupt on the outside line tries to level with him into the braking zone, but Hubert Haupt can't get the race lead. So UK, Germany 1 and 2 as they sweep around turn 1. 1 and 2 run out wide, including Spain, including France. Germany to the inside for the race lead up at turn 2. And Germany tries to elbow up on the inside. Bit of contact between the two. Germany through. Hubert Haupt takes over the race lead, and that was a determined and a committed first couple of corners.
Great move from Germany there as we see Spain down the inside of the Ukraine. Interesting start from France. Looked really aggressive, but when the lights went out, they went nowhere. I think Chinese Taipei actually got a little contact on the rear because they expected the French car to go sooner than it did. In fact, China running a little bit wide now behind that French Audi, but great move from Germany to take the lead over the United Kingdom.
Black and orange flags are being given to China and France. Now, that's normally a mechanical warning flag. So what that's all about on the first lap of the race, we'll try to research. It is black and orange rather than black and white, according to the message line. However, the leaders are coming up already out of turn number 11, and it is Germany in the lead as Switzerland goes a little bit wide there. Dexter Müller at the wheel of the Swiss Mercedes, and that brings Spain in the black and yellow and red Audi closer to the mix as they come now up towards turn 12. That's France versus China, and France just ahead of the moment. As for Germany, Hubert Haupt tries to build the lead on this opening lap.
Yeah, I can't see why they're getting a mechanical flag. Cars look okay, no smoke coming out the back, so have to see how that one plans out for them, both on the same sort of part of the track, but I can't see any logic there as you see the headlight flash from Spain on Switzerland. Looks like they've got some good pace. Pace is good for Germany. You can see the car twitch under braking tyres, still coming up to temperature. Remember, Spain looking for the cutback. Can they get the run on Switzerland into turn 2? Great overtaking opportunity. Looking to the inside. Doesn't look like it's got speed, but Switzerland a little bit wide, then closes the door. Going to be side by side on exit potentially. Snap of oversteer wheels, windscreen wiper going. That's the button on the steering wheel. When the driver has a moment, can just catch that. So when he gets a chance, Navarrete will give that a flick to turn it off. don't be fearful. There is no rain forecast for the next hour.
That's good news. Navarrete then, second gear. He'll grab third in a moment, and eventually, when he has a moment to breathe, he'll turn off the wiper. Then you've got Ukraine, Lithuania, France, China, Chinese Taipei behind in this long, long line of cars. Germany leading the way. 9/10 of a second was the margin. The top two escaping, but it's almost everybody else for third, isn't it? And look at this fight. China on the tail of France. Eric Debard for France. It is Yaqi Zhang for China. And the two of them together being reeled in again by Chinese Taipei's Guo Xin-ho next up in the queue.
Yeah, still can't see any reason why they'd be getting the meatball flag at the moment. So they've just got to keep racing, and maybe their teams will go up and ask what the problem is. Spain looking to the inside, not really an overtaking opportunity, but a good chance to distract the car in front. But actually, Spain hit the apex curb and potentially lost more than they could have gained there. United Kingdom still 8/10 behind Germany, so not losing too much. Go on board with Spain, so close. Going to be hard to get a run out of the last corner. Look at these cars all grouping together. Who's got the top speed? We saw the Audi earlier really fast at the end of the straight, especially when Switzerland was stuck behind China in their Audi. China with that car on the far right, trying to get down the inside of France. They're still staying in the same position. Chinese Taipei having a much better showing so far at the start of this race.
To the inside line, Spain on Switzerland. Through for third place goes Spain. Switzerland tries to brave it out on the outside, but a really good pass by Spain. Through on the inside line goes Fernando Navarrete, and Switzerland drops down to fourth place. That Audi is flying, and Navarrete for Spain has got better and better and better every time we've seen him in the car.
Yeah, what can he do now? Can he close this gap and try and make it a three-car battle for the lead? But he's now promoted himself into the bronze position. Can he get a better colour than that? Looking at Ukraine, much stronger start to the race as well. At the end of that stint, we saw that car could still drop off the pace, but now looking good. But it is under attack from Lithuania from behind, and then to the inside for the Audi from France as well. We've got a real Audi battle pack here, haven't we? 4 different nations, all in the same car with 4 rings on the front.
Interesting, isn't it? Although the Audi R8 isn't really one of the favoured championship winning brands these days, it is still great for this type of racing where you can put customers into the car, but the teams have a wealth of knowledge of how to run it. It's user friendly. For an event like this, it is absolutely great. There is in China, or there used to be, the Audi R8 Cup. We've got an unofficial version of it here, look, in Europe, because the 4 of them, as Joe rightly says, are all together in a line. Diving now down towards turn 14. So riding on board with Lithuania. Up front, Germany extending the margin to 9/10 of a second and having also done the fastest lap of the race. But Ukraine about to lose a position possibly here. This is the run down towards turn 1, and the fight for 5th is going to stay just Ukraine's way, but up at turn 2 it could change again.
Tiny bit of contact, but racing instant so far. Still got the inside though, Lithuania to the inside, dives really well. Bit more contact, forces the Ukraine out, a bit more robust that time, but I still think it's on the caution side of fair. We will see what race control say. What's Lithuania got pace-wise? Ukraine need to settle. They need to stop the rut. They need to stop France getting through there. We still have no more information on those black and orange flags, sorry, for both France and China. So we'll just keep playing for now. The gap at the front staying the same. They are pulling away from Spain ever so slightly as well. So at the moment is a 2-horse race for gold in this race.
And James Cottingham is doing purple sectors on this lap as he tries to close the lead gap there. France on the tail of Ukraine, fending off China, fending off Chinese Taipei. So that 4-way battle pack dropping down the hill now. Up front, it remains Germany ahead of United Kingdom. Hubert Haupt ahead of James Cottingham. A little bit wide goes Ukraine. France gets up the inside. Eric Debard, the driver for France, but he couldn't really capitalise on that and wasn't able to get properly alongside. So he slots back in for turn 12. And Ukraine, with a better exit, just stretches the margin again.
Yeah, but look how much Lithuania have pulled away. 1.5 seconds in under a lap already, and they're on the back of Switzerland. Dexter Muller now has another car to contend with, another Audi, and it looks like Lithuania have got the run on him at the moment. We saw the job done well by Spain. Very efficient overtake. Doesn't look like we've got enough speed riding on board at the moment with Lithuania. Look at the speed and the time we've been gaining. To the inside, is there enough room? Just up on the curb. Very fair from both drivers. As we see some contact in the back, China to the inside. I would guess that's France somewhere because they seem to be missing.
And Chinese Taipei delayed as well. France has been delayed, but I think China is in the gravel on the inside there. Yellow flags obviously at turn 1. China is in the gravel, but not for much longer because fair play to Yaqi Zhang. He's dug himself out, so the race will continue. There'll be a bit of gravel on the road for a lap or 2, but sadly that's broken up what was a really good battle.
Yeah, really going to be interesting to see where they were. China were behind France, so I'd assume China's dived to the inside to try and overtake France contact, and both have gone different ways on the apex of turn 1.
Not only is the Lithuania Audi flying, it's also now moved up past Switzerland as well. So Switzerland, Dexter Müller struggling a little bit at the minute. There's your lead gap. It's down to 7/10. James Cottingham for United Kingdom did the fastest lap of the race last time through. So the United Kingdom entry, the Ferrari chasing after the Germany entered Mercedes. Hubert Haupt still leads the race, but there Chris Froggatt, who will take over the second place car, can see the gap diminishing.
Do you remember at the start of the last race, Froggatt had a good start, but was quite consistent gap to Germany, and suddenly the German car really dropped off of its pace towards the end of the stint. Wibbelhaus struggling. Is that happening again? That's Wibbelhaus there. He started strong, but his stint faded. Maybe it's a car issue, not a driver issue. Is this swinging in the favour of the United Kingdom and James Cottingham? The gap back to 8/10. It's ebbing and flowing. You could see on the graphics shown previously, it was only a 10th on the last lap, but it shows a trend. Is that trend going to keep going, or is it going to ebb and flow the other way?
Riding on board here with James Cottingham. If you have a look on the right-hand side, you'll see Chris Froggatt, Jonathan Hui and Eddie Cheever's names, because those are the three regular drivers through GT World Challenge Europe in which this car runs. Add a different driver to the list on the outside of the car. This is James Cottingham, who is hustling on this Ferrari, and he's getting ever closer to Germany. So third gear now grabbed, fourth, turn left. Down towards turn 8 they come, and the margin between them was down by about a 10.5 within the first sector. So James Cottingham is very definitely keeping this car in the mix before you get to the Chris Froggatt and Finn Wiebelhaus fight into stint 2.
Yeah, the AF Course, who run this Ferrari for United Kingdom, done a perfect job. I was just spying on his tyre pressures when we were on board. 1.7 bar across all four. That is perfect. After 10 minutes of racing, they will start to stabilise. So they are really in the window. So if Germany haven't got their tyre pressures quite right, this is going to be a big deciding factor. The tyres, the only bit of the car that touch the ground, they're pretty important to generate lap time, and at the moment I think the Ferrari's got the advantage here. Look at the dash up to 4th, like you said, you can see the speed building and building all the way there. Ferrari's got great end of straight speed as well. Spain doing good, keeping that gap under 6 seconds. That stagnated a bit. Lithuania also seem to be bringing Spain back a little closer, but those gaps are staying quite similar.
So James Cottingham for United Kingdom still having the fastest lap of the race to his credit, and the battle is on here for 5th. It's Switzerland versus Ukraine. That Switzerland Mercedes does not seem to have the get up and go that it did in the first race. I know it's a different start driver, but even so, Dexter Müller, one would have anticipated, given his experience, would be more of a match against Lithuania and Ukraine. Right now, he's having to work hard to hang on to a rather disappointing, by their standards, 5th place.
Yeah, and the Ukraine car is catching him on the last lap, 3/10, 8/10 before, as we see Ivan Peklin there looking in on the teammate driving the Ukraine car, looking good. I think both of these drivers probably had a bit of coaching. Yannick Meckler there, the teammate, will be talking to Dexter Müller, just saying, just calm it down, just bring it back. He did a great job, didn't he, in his stint? So I think as long as that car can stay somewhere in this top 5, top 6, there's a chance they can still get an overall podium and a medal for Switzerland.
Now the gap stretches marginally through this sequence of corners. For the race lead, incidentally, Hubert Haupt for Germany, the race leader, he's just doing purple sectors, so pushing on to try to get away from the United Kingdom entry. Well, he might be pushing on in the first sector, but he's only 6,000ths of a second quicker, so here you can see what the gap is, and it's not very much at all. Last time over the line, it was 7/10 of a second, and this time as the leaders go by, heading into turn 1, it's just over half a second, so the United Kingdom Ferrari is looking the stronger of the two.
Yeah, track limit warnings coming. Everyone's picking up one, but the first black and white, so the first serious track limit warning goes to Spain. So already they're on their last life. One more misdemeanor for the rest of this race, 48 minutes. They will get a 5-second penalty. Remember, we saw some of those 5 seconds being served in the pit stops. The car couldn't be touched. So maybe Spain need to have a bit of a chat to Navarrete and just tell him to think, point to their head, and just make him calm down and make him realise this is an endurance race. Relax.
Right now, though, far from relaxed. Germany, Hubert Haupt, the driver, and there, down the pit road, comes France. Now, that is Eric Debarn, and he's got a problem by the look of it, because he's going to arrive at the pit box. And the gold medal winner 2 years ago could be out of the race here. He was struggling a little bit. The car didn't have much grunt in the first race either.
No, I'm just thinking they still had the black and orange flag, as did China. And I saw the Pirelli technician go very quickly to the car. I wonder if the FIA checked the pressures on the grid and they were below the minimum. I'm speculating massively here. I'm just trying to think why they had a black and orange and then they've been able to be released. If it's the only logic I can apply to such an early mechanical failure flag when there's no obvious mechanical failure.
Well, let's see therefore whether China comes in as well for the same issue to respond to a black and orange. So the black and white flag flashing on the gantry there is the driving standards flag. Leaders go by and the margin 7/10 of a second then. Germany hanging on to that race lead through turn 1. And James Cottingham for the United Kingdom is tucked up behind, but possibly content to sit there and let Chris Froggatt, the regular driver, the more experienced driver of this car, take the fight to Germany in the second stint.
Remember how distraught Hubert Howe was after the race with how much time they lost in the pit stop. So maybe Cottingham and Froggatt know they've got the faster driver change, so they don't need to win this race on track. Maybe Germany have practiced a little bit more in between the two races, but it's a huge deciding factor in GT racing is how quick and efficient you can make your pit stop and driver change.
Race leaders then accelerate up towards the turn 7 kink, and we are heading towards that pit window. We've got about 11 more minutes. So the GT3 category has what's called the balance of performance that equates the different engines, different aspirations of the cars in terms of turbo or normally aspirated, tries to equate them as best it can. There is a BOP for this weekend, and that is why the cars are so evenly matched for the race lead. And here also for 5th and 6th, Mercedes versus Audi. Now the other significant Mercedes you saw go wide there coming out of turn 10 into 11, and that was Germany. Hubert Howe at the wheel a bit. That brings United Kingdom a little bit, and so the cars now make that run up towards the right-hander of turn 12. So you've got there Switzerland, behind is Ukraine, and as they go through turn 12, Ukraine's Audi rattles out wide over the curb. Up now towards turn 13 they come and make the run into 14 up towards the end of the lap. So you've got Germany and the United Kingdom with the gap 0.4 of a second now for the race lead. Down towards turn 1 they have gone. In turn they are the best part of 7 seconds up the road from Spain. 4th Lithuania, and then this is the fight for 5th. Ukraine's Ivan Peklin looks on, sitting next to Wolfgang Land, whose team operates that car. So Peklin will do the second stint. He'll take over from Konstantin Gutsul. And Gutsul at the minute on the back of Muller. This is turn 2. Speed building again as they wriggle their way now through 3 and 4, and then a short straight up towards turn 5. The Valencia circuit, one of these real sort of paperclip jobs where take a rectangle and then fold as much of the circuit in as you can, so you've got this constant switchback of corners.
Yeah, as a driver as well, it's pretty intense. There's not really much time to relax as we see China coming in, the other car along with France. Let's just see what happens here. This is for a mechanical failure. What are the teams doing? It is a Pirelli check on the tyre pressure. So I'm going to stay with my first guess that when Pirelli checked these minimum pressures on the grid, they were under. Now they're checking them in race conditions to make sure they adhere to the rules of being above the minimum pressure of 1.4 bar. The team's also checking their pressures and their way they go, but yeah, you can see the gravel still coming out of that car for its trip into the gravel at turn number 1.
So they have responded to that black and orange flag, therefore, by coming into the pit lane. The black and orange means mechanical problem of which you may not be aware. Come to the pit lane. So they're aware of it now, and the tyre pressure's checked and sorted. The lead battle goes on. We're getting closer to that pit window. Half a second between the pair of them. Hubert Howe for Germany has never really been able to escape up the road, has he?
And just starting to come back to Cottingham as we perfectly timed go to the graphic. 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 1 tenth, swinging that way and this way. Cottingham taking the biggest chunk on lap 9, 3 tenths gained back. That gap now down to 5 tenths of a second. Starting to look like Cottingham has got the chance to maybe mount an attack. Does he want to mount an attack? 8.5 minutes until the pit window. I expect both cars to pit as early as possible to hand over to their faster graded drivers. Either way, it's going to be a great second half of the race.
You could see how late on the brakes United Kingdom were there going up towards the hairpin. This is the battle for 8th. The Porsche from Qatar. No penalty looming for its start either, as far as we're aware. That's not even been looked at after the spin and retaking its grid position, which is interesting. They're going through is Japan. So this is the 8th and 9th battle. Qatar ahead of Japan, Porsche ahead of Ferrari.
Yeah, Japan has reeled in that Qatar Porsche quite quickly, hasn't it, over the last 3 laps. Big snap of oversteer as we first saw it leaving turn 2, so obviously pushing on hard. Japan were running pretty high in the first race, as high as 5th, I think, at one place. So it'll be interesting to see if they can rekindle that form in the second half, at the moment being slightly compromised by the Qatar Porsche. But to be fair, the Qatar Porsche is getting good exits. Such a good car for an amateur driver. That Porsche gives a lot of confidence on exit. The engine hanging over the rear axle gives the car lots of traction.
And for Japan, it is Kai Nakanishi looking for a way past the Porsche, closing up at turn 12. They flick through that right-hander, then that long left of turn 13 that in turn loops you back down to the end of the lap. The Valencia circuit then, playing host to the FIA Motorsport Games for the first time, joining the rest of the region, accommodating the roads for the rally, and the Porsche out wide loses the place. Japan ahead of Qatar then, coming up to the line. That, therefore, is the change now for 8th place. Japan goes 8th at the expense of Qatar, and of course behind with those pit stops you've got Malaysia up into 10th at the expense of France and China. It could barely be closer for the race lead. James Cottingham has not yet found a way by, but he's certainly not just prepared to sit there.
No, really not. They have got Team China in front as well. I think they could come into play potentially just before the pit stops. Very different lines there at turn 11. Typically go for a late apex, but Hewitt Howard in front fired it in early. He's still got a good exit, so that Mercedes is still giving him some good pace, especially out the corners. Rides the curb very well, that Mercedes. I think the Qatar Porsche just went wide and deep into 14, and there we can see Froggatt ready to take over for the United Kingdom. Time penalty for car number 22, our first penalty of the race. That's Chinese Taipei, currently in 7th place. That time will be added in the pit stop. And yeah, the Mercedes just pulling away slightly by the end of the lap.
So Chinese Taipei with a time penalty, running 7th at the moment, and we are round about now 6 minutes off that pit window opening. Up at turn 2, lead gap down. Germany still ahead of United Kingdom. It's Spain 3rd, but Spain not lapping quite as quickly as these two, even though they are close, even though possibly that Ferrari is being ever so slightly held up. Still their pace better than Spain in 3rd spot. So the hard work is going to be done then by Jorge Cabezas when he gets into the car for Spain in that second stint. Spain, the medal table leader at the moment. More competitions being decided on this Saturday of the FIA Motorsport Games, but the medal table still headed by Spain from Italy and then Turkey. United Kingdom 4th in that table, and right now 2nd in the GT race, and right on the tail of Germany as they wriggle their way again on now towards turn 10.
Yeah, again, very different lines in turn 11. The Mercedes able to keep it much tighter. Costing swinging out. Doesn't look like he's got an overall pace advantage to make a move, but he is giving this car the best chance of pitting right behind and making it a pit stop race, because I do think both are going to pit on the same lap. Let's ride down the hill into turn 14. How's the car looking for Cottingham? Any oversteer on the way in? Yes, as he touches the curb. Gets it to the apex though. How's the exit? A little loose. Big snap of oversteer. You can see the lights flashing, indicating the traction control is there. What's our top speed like? Mercedes slightly getting smaller, so top speed looking better for the Mercedes at this point. Now stagnating. Open the corner up into turn 1. Get to the apex. Get rid of any understeer. Pick the throttle up. Stay legal on exit. He was more legal than Hal, but I think Hal was just about on the white line. A hairpin here, so you want to V the corner off, go in deep, rotate the car, full throttle, flat through this little kink at 3, but use all of the curb, because that lets you be further to the left as you brake for 4. Again, you can really abuse the curb here on the inside, all 4 wheels. It seems to be getting away with that track limit-wise, but Mercedes really strong on traction. Just looks a little traction limited, this Ferrari. Let's check how it looks coming out of turn number 6. See if we've got any wheel spin. Rolls in great speed, catches the car, but then just has that slight rotation. Doesn't seem to lose too much time, but the Mercedes just pulling away ever so slightly in a straight lane. Hard on the brakes. Can have a double apex here, so don't worry about running wide, because you can rotate it in. Out really wide here. Use all of the curb through this very far chicane at 9 and 10. Hard on the brakes, and this is where we've been seeing the line difference of the Mercedes in tight and the Ferrari out wide, and it seems to favour the Mercedes more, in my opinion. It's the only corner where I think we're losing time is on board with the United Kingdom car. Everywhere else, I think the Mercedes is slightly slower, apart from turn number 11, but it does look like it's a pretty fair fight thus far in this stint.
And that hairpin you were talking about, down to first gear for United Kingdom. The Ferrari, James Cottinger, then up towards the line, out wide Germany, but just about gets away with that. And the team manager of France being summoned to the stewards in race control immediately. That is never good news. So France team manager is going to be called before the race officials. Leaders go by with another 3 minutes before they can think about bailing for the pit lane. And as you made the point earlier on, they're heading up onto the tail of Team China. Lappery is possible.
Yeah, they've got to do at least 2 more full laps before they can pit in the pit window. So, yeah, Team China are going to come into play here. They'll still be pushing on, quite rightly, Team China, so they won't have full focus just on their rearview mirror. Just because they're in last place doesn't mean they've given up. So could potentially trip someone up. And as the leader, you're always the one opening the door. So it's your job to make sure there isn't contact. That's where being behind is much nicer, and you can just go for whatever gap may appear.
Down towards turn 8 again comes United Kingdom, chasing Germany. Slightly tighter line by the Ferrari compared to the Mercedes of the German nation. And now down towards turn 10, the kink, 11, the hairpin. They come. Again, up the curve goes the Ferrari. That wider approach. Germany's going to go a little bit deep into the corner again. A tighter line by the Ferrari. And again, it doesn't really favour United Kingdom. Germany hanging on to that race lead, but they are getting closer to China, aren't they, to put a lap on that Audi.
Yeah, great illustration from the drone there. We know it was a line difference from what we've seen, but that really showed they're almost different at every aspect of turn 11. And I just think if Cottingham could maybe mirror the German car for 1 lap, yes, they're different cars, engines in different places, but it seems to be working, and I would give that a bit of a chance because we're just getting to the end of this stint, so we've got to finish this lap, but the pit window will open by the time they finish this lap. So are they going to catch China? Are they both going to box on this first opportunity? I think they will. Cottingham looks like he's got some easy pace, not even having to use all of the track on the exit like Hal in front.
So Germany hanging on to that race lead, but in just over a minute's time they'll be able to get the stop out of the way, and we'll see which is the better drilled pit crew. Both squads so experienced in terms of pit stop style racing, whether it's in 1-hour races like this or longer in the different endurance championships for GT cars that exist. So the lead gap next to nothing at all then as they run now nose to tail once more around the back part of the circuit, coming out of turn 6 now, the race leaders. Still Team China just up the road ahead. The window will open in over half a minute's time, so they should be able to pit this time. Hubert Haupt for Germany, James Cottingham for United Kingdom. Still absolutely together, and in fact it's going to be a very good lap on which to pit, because not only are they closing on China, but also there is another car just up the road as well, and it is Malaysia, so it stops them having to worry about back markers. I think Switzerland is due in as well. Malaysia has been caught by China and being impeded slightly. That is a battle for position. The leaders are bearing down on all of this, and it could get very leery indeed.
And remember, those cars can also pit, so pit entry could be very busy, not just with the leaders but some of those back markers. What are they going to do? I think everyone's going to dive to the pit lane, are they not? It's a late call from 3 of them. It looked like Malaysia stayed out. Is Germany going to be impeded by China? Nose to tail coming to the line. Don't have any damage. There's a bit of a clunk there just as we cut away from the forward-facing camera, and I saw Cottingham's head dive forward. Hopefully it was just his own brakes slowing him down, starting to loosen the belts. You can loosen, you cannot undo. He'll turn to the right. He'll then stop, undo the belts, undo the window now, undo the radio, door open, and the large tall frame of Chris Froggatt. It struggles to get in, but he gets in that car quickly, and I think it could be a pit stop race between the 2 nations.
Right, so Germany struggled on the pit stop in the qualifying race. That's United Kingdom then, and James Cottingham gets out now. One of those less haste, more speed situations there for Germany. Hubert Haupt helping to strap in Finn Wiebelhaus. The pit crews have got to cycle these cars around as quickly as they can. They don't need to change tyres, maybe adjust the pressures. They don't need to refuel. So the Ferrari for United Kingdom is set, ready to go. Door already closed on the Mercedes then. Remember, it's 56 seconds line to line, and Germany's on the move. So the Mercedes blasts away. And where is the Ferrari in all of this? It's not yet moving. So Germany hangs on to the lead. The Ferrari is being released, but there's a problem. It won't go. It stalls. It fires. Time loss. United Kingdom loses time in the pits, and suddenly Germany has a big gap.
Swings the other way. That Ferrari doesn't have a clutch pedal, so you can't blame the driver. That looked like a systems error in the Ferrari. You should just press a button, select the gear, and slam the throttle down, and you could hear the slam, but then the clutch didn't know what to do. So I think Froggatt probably had to cycle something there to get it to go, but that is a big problem, and that is a real shame for the United Kingdom.
It is indeed. So it's going to make an intriguing second stint, that is for sure. 33 minutes are on the clock. Spain, in the meantime, stays out. So over the timing line now comes Fernando Navarrete, who is the driver for the opening stint for Spain, and that car notionally takes over the race lead. Others cycling through after the pit stop, but it is on the road, the race now being led by Spain. But in real terms, Germany, having got the stop out of the way, clear of the United Kingdom, and a gap that was never more than tenths may well be a few seconds come the end of this lap.
Yeah, I think it's going to be 2.5, 3 seconds minimum. They lost so much time. The German pit stop so efficient. We saw how much time they lost in race 1. They definitely practiced in between the 2 races, and that was really good job by Team Germany. Spain now have to push on the way in. Lithuania in the background in the other black Audi there, has really had a strong stint, and I think that could be another race building in the second half, Lithuania versus Spain.
Indeed so, and the battles that we saw in the earlier race now from the first stint should in a sense come alive in the second. It's the same drivers, but in some cases they've got some gaps to make up. One interesting car is going to be Switzerland, isn't it, when Dexter Müller gives way to Yannick Meckler. That has now served its stop, so Switzerland will be one to watch. Over the line has gone Germany, and 3.3 seconds the margin, Germany to United Kingdom now. That's the leader, that's Spain, but remember this car owes us a pit stop, so it'll be due in within the next few minutes.
Yeah, we should get a great shot, shouldn't we, as the leaders pit from the road. We'll see potentially Germany and the United Kingdom coming down the pit straight, and we can see if Spain have done enough to close that gap. It was 8 seconds before the pit stop. They're staying out, they're going very long. Lithuania does box, so a completely different strategy here from what we're used to seeing with bronze started drivers normally pitting early, but Spain doing slightly different, and we see France in the pit lane again.
Yeah, whether there is anything else in the system for France, given that the team manager had to go to the stewards, we'll find out. But Eric Debar gives way then now, and into the car will get Paul Everard. So the car will be yet faster as the Sansalok team, the French squad, turns that car around in the pit stop. So there is Finn Wiebelhaus now for Germany, and behind it is Chris Froggatt for the UK, who has just done an absolute best Sector 1, and a personal best is looming in Sector 2. So this is looking good as far as United Kingdom is concerned. Straight away, an angry Chris Froggatt is clawing back some of that lost time and taking the battle to Germany. Over the line they come now. So let's see what the gap is. 3.3 seconds last time, Germany to United Kingdom, and this time 2 seconds.
But black and white flag, car 93. They're on their final track limit warning. So Froggatt obviously used that up on that lap to catch up. Good to get the gap down, bad to have no more lives left with track limits for the rest of this race.
Chris Froggatt has done the fastest lap of the race and is hustling on as Spain, still due its pit stop, approaches the halfway point with just a second or so now to go, and another lap done by Fernando Navarrete. You get the feeling he enjoys racing this car. Comes over the line, so Spain staying out there for as long as possible, trying to build up that margin if possible and hang on to a medal place. It's not going to be a win in the race, I doubt, but bronze is a real possibility.
Yeah, time for 3 more laps if they want to use it. His pace has been good, but I do think that's potentially going to drop them behind Lithuania, just because Lithuania have done 4 more laps with their faster graded driver. So we're on board again with Froggatt. In a slightly tighter line than Kottering into 11, but still not as tight as the Mercedes we saw earlier. It'll be interesting to see any differences that we can spot. Not using as much entry curb here into T12. Picks the throttle up early, makes the car run a little bit wide. I think we need a bit more patience there from the United Kingdom. Down the hill into 14. Do we use the entry curb like Kottering does? No, he doesn't. That's why we don't get the snap of oversteer. Car looks a bit calmer on exit as well, as we see Jorge ready to get in for his stint. You know it's in the next 3 minutes and 58 seconds.
Jorge Cabezas there to take over for Spain. which currently leads by 55 seconds, but a pit stop is 56, so it's going to lose the lead, and it's going to drop to third, I would suggest, by the time the stop is done, because Wiebelhaus to Froggatt here, Germany to United Kingdom, is down to 1.4 seconds. Well, earlier on, remember, the Ferrari could not find a way past the Mercedes, but Finn Wiebelhaus is going to be asked to hang on under huge pressure for the best part of, what, 26 minutes by the time Chris Froggatt gets onto his tail?
Yeah, and Froggatt really just can't afford a penalty. I've said it already, but the team will be telling him that the 5 seconds that just gets added on will really, really hurt. You're right with the 55-second gap, but that isn't equating for the slowing down and speeding up as well. So I think it will be a bigger gap than that alludes.
Time penalties for track limits are now coming. Qatar has copped one, and also China, Kang Ling. So those are cars that are 9th and 11th being given 5-second penalties, and they'll have to be applied at the end of the race. And again, the differing lines that Germany and United Kingdom take through turn 11 prevalent as they accelerate now along that short straight towards turn 12. But Chris Froggatt is now, for the United Kingdom, absolutely on the back of Finn Wiebelhaus for Germany, and the battle for what is in real terms the race lead is now well and truly alive.
Yeah, just trying to work out where I think Froggatt has got the best chance. Close a lot on the brakes there into 14. Wiebelhaus now will be really looking in his mirrors, trying to stay calm. The big advantage for Germany is the straight line speed here really takes away any opportunity, I think, for the Ferrari to overtake into turn 1, because it just stretches its legs, that Mercedes, so efficiently. Look at the gaps, 1.2, 6 tenths, then 9 tenths on the last lap as well. This is game on. I was about to say, when will the headlight flash game come? And there it is. That's our first instance of trying to put the pressure on Germany.
And a 10-second penalty for France for speeding in the pit lane. That was why the team manager had to go and see the stewards. So that was from Eric Debard's stint. Meanwhile, this is getting very toey indeed, isn't it? There's almost contact between the two that time around as Germany fends off United Kingdom. But if Finn Wiebelhaus is going to do this for another 26 3/4 minutes, he is going to have really a medal, isn't he? So together they run. There's confirmation on the graphic of the penalty for France. At certain parts of the circuit, that Mercedes just stretches its legs a little bit, but the Ferrari so late on the brakes for United Kingdom.
I just think the Mercedes must be using its tyres more. It just seems to drop off so quickly. And the Ferrari just metronomic with its pace, and its roles reversed here now. The Mercedes having to run wide round 11 as we finally see Spain pit. That is a great stint by Navarrete. First time in the car, like we've said, getting out of the car super fast as well.
Also, fastest lap of the race, now Switzerland. Yannick Mettler is one of his missions. So Switzerland running 5th at the moment, but it might shake out differently after the pit stops. Certainly looking very rapid indeed, partly because Chris Froggatt cannot go any quicker because he's stuck now. The United Kingdom driver absolutely trapped behind Germany.
Yeah, it's going to be frustrating for Froggatt. Whenever you're in a car that doesn't have the straight line speed, you just feel like you're bottled up. As we see Spain leaving, looks like it's a comfortable third. Was that Lithuania just coming out the last corner? I think it was, yeah, the 71 car. So it will be pretty equidistant, I think, between 2nd place and 4th place once Spain get up to speed. But yeah, Mettler is pushing hard at the moment. Big slide as well from Froggatt. Really happy. Team Spain there. Good job all round.
Fernando Navarrete's a great character, isn't he? He has had a big smile on his face all weekend. He's loved driving that Audi, and he'll be frustrated he can't drive it again, I think, this weekend. Meantime, a frustrated Chris Froggatt hasn't yet unsettled Finn Wiebelhaus, who has just got to be the world's biggest sponge, really, for 26 minutes and soak up all of this pressure. Chris Froggatt right there on his tail, and Finn Wiebelhaus, for the moment, has not made a mistake. I'm not suggesting he won't at some point, because it really is absolutely intense pressure, but Wiebelhaus is doing a good job thus far.
Yeah, Froggatt just needs to hope there's a hole big enough in that sponge that he can put a 296 GT3 car through, and I think that is going to be the opportunity. I would actually be saying to Chris Froggatt here, if I was his team, just turn the traction control up a little. Look after the rear tyre. He's working it too hard every corner for no need. You're not going to make the overtake this easy. Just sit on the bumper of that Mercedes from Germany and just be ready to pounce when there's an apex missed from that Mercedes, and then that's your opportunity to strike. He just looks a bit nervy and a bit panicky. There's 24 minutes. Just relax.
Yeah, they come up towards the timing line then. So Germany up front. Over the line goes Wiebelhaus. Behind him is Froggatt, and that, remember now, with 0.481 of a second between them, is the proper lead battle. We've got Ukraine in strife, incidentally, having just run wide over at turn 12 and off the road, but they are still in the race, but very definitely in the race, these two nations who have dominated the GT discipline this weekend. Germany and United Kingdom, absolutely nose to tail.
Gap's grown a little bit again though, and again Froggatt now just starting to have to work harder on the wheel. Is he now starting to use his tyres up, potentially like the Mercedes a little bit more? Gets a face full of dust kicking up from the apex there at turn number 5. Rotate the car in. Still, we know the strengths and weaknesses of these cars. We're going to see the Mercedes pull away now, but it's the brake, it's really the brake zone, sorry, for the Ferrari that's super strong. Costering looking on, not looking best pleased, and I think that'd probably be because of the pit exit where the car just didn't go, and then I think that was their chance to potentially get the easy overtake on Germany, was in the pit lane.
Another penalty given to France for track limits, and a penalty for United Kingdom for track limits. Number 93, 5-second penalty. So Chris Froggatt has, I'm afraid, copped a 5-second penalty, and as James Cottingham looks on, if he's seen that message, he will start to process it. I'm not convinced he's seen it, but he will now, because it is on the television pictures that he's looking at rather than just on the timing screen. So this car, second on the road, has a penalty, and now, look, the message has got through to James Cottingham.
Yeah, facial expression change there, wasn't it? I'm not surprised. I would be peeved too if I were you, James. So the only opportunity now, what do? You force Germany into a track limit penalty and make it 5 seconds, and then you can still win it on the road. Do you think Weberhaus is going to do that? I don't think so. He's been looking very calm, hasn't been throwing that car around too much. Every time we're looking at it from behind, he looks like he's in control of it. I think the United Kingdom have thrown away a good opportunity of a gold medal.
Well, Chris Froggatt is still hustling on, but the problem that he faces is if he makes another transgression. You know, for example, France has got this penalty as well and are still racking up track limit warnings. So, you know, that's not the end of the story. You touched on this earlier on in the weekend at the FIA Motorsport Games. You get a 5-second penalty. That doesn't then wipe the slate clean. You get any more infractions and the scale goes up.
Yeah, it's normally a different sport, isn't it, between these two teams, penalties decide it, but it seems like we're haunted in motorsport also with the penalties for the United Kingdom car.
Well, we should be well used to taking them, even if not benefiting from the outcome, but nose to tail they run. Germany and United Kingdom then together as they drop now through the right-hander out of turn 11. Finn Weberhaus, you've got to say, is doing a really mighty job of keeping that Ferrari at bay. United Kingdom's Chris Froggatt runs a little bit wide at turn 12, rattles it up over the curb. And James Cottingham is looking ever more pensive now, not only because they haven't got the lead, but also because they've got to then try and pull away by 5 seconds to negate that penalty.
Yeah, at the moment they're okay, aren't they? 7 seconds ahead of Spain, but yeah, that could change as well. And then suddenly your silver becomes bronze. And at one point you thought it was going to be gold. So that is the emotion of a racing driver, how quickly it can change.
So there's the lead battle. Now, while all this is going on, Spain third, but a further 8 seconds back. Fourth is Lithuania, fifth Switzerland, and sixth Ukraine. United Kingdom, again, oh, so close. And this is another great little battle on track. Looking further up the road, the back markers, you've got there Qatar and France and China all squabbling, and that is for position, because even though the two Audis have had to serve penalties, then they're having a good fight amongst themselves, and they're being caught by the lead battle. So here they come, and the fight ahead, 9th, 10th and 11th, Qatar, France and China, absolutely together.
I wonder if Froggatt could get past with 20 minutes to go. Could he pull 5 seconds on Germany? I think not, but again, that's another option, potentially get the gold. The other options are going to catch this battle pack, I think, before the end. Bit of contact there, maybe on the back. You can see a bodywork flapping on the French car as well. Shouldn't be too performance limiting in that, but they're battling hard and fair at the moment. But yeah, I think this could get involved in the lead battle as well.
Which is still Germany versus United Kingdom. It's the lead battle behind this on the road. Remember, France has had a penalty. China has had a penalty in terms of that stop earlier on for the black and orange flag. Almost contact France on Qatar. China out wide. That's Kang Ling against Paul Everard. The two Audis. China round the outside. The leaders are in the background, look. And China moves ahead of France on the way down towards turn 1. So China goes 10th and goes 9th under braking on the inside line. So Kang Ling released. Remember how quick he was in the qualifying race, and now with a clear racetrack ahead of him, he's on a mission. France on a mission as well. Paul Everard, the driver, on the inside there to get past Qatar in the Porsche. and the race leaders overall bearing down on all of this. It's still Germany ahead, but only just. The lead gap was less than 4 tenths over the line.
Great moves by China there, 2 places in 2 corners. Qatar just placing that Porsche in an awkward place, blocking well from France. Fair, but just asking the question of France, how much do you want it? They don't need to dive out of the way. They will get the blue flag, but they are in their own battle, so they're always told to hold the racing line and make the faster cars go round you. And around here at Valencia, that off racing line is very dirty, so it could be very interesting to see how the leaders play this.
So Wiebelhaus for Germany, Froggatt for United Kingdom. We're currently working lap number 26. We've got just about 18.5 minutes, give or take, to go. And Wiebelhaus will be mindful of that traffic. He's also very mindful of that Ferrari behind, so he can cover that off. But, of course, corner by corner, he's getting closer to this battle. France ahead of Qatar now, and on the lights is Wiebelhaus. Now, this is where Chris Froggatt may be able to capitalise. He's done more racing in his career than has Finn Wiebelhaus. He's done a lot of long-distance racing, a lot of races where there are different classes and you're having to thread your way through the traffic. Germany a bit stuck here, look, coming onto the pit straight. This, though, could be Wiebelhaus's chance to use all of the grunt and go of that Mercedes and try and get through the traffic. Certainly he wants to get past that Porsche, which is dropping away from France right now. Can the Mercedes make its move? Germany to the inside into turn 1. The United Kingdom goes through as well, so Wiebelhaus not impeded, but he doesn't benefit.
Qatar did a great job there. They weren't actually getting any blue flags there, so they looked in the mirror and decided they should back out of it. But I do think they're going to catch France and potentially China. Maybe interesting on their pace and a bit of clear air again. Wiebelhaus has survived the first test there, but I think the French car will be more interesting because the pace is a bit higher, so the overtake won't be as easy.
What's that saying about it only takes 2 cars to make a race? It's been a fantastic battle, race long, hasn't it, between Germany and United Kingdom, Mercedes and Ferrari, and right now Finn Wiebelhaus ahead of Chris Froggatt. In 3rd place, it is Spain, dropping away lap by lap, in fairness. Even though these two have got traffic, even though these two are squabbling, they're still lapping faster than Jorge Cabezas for Spain. But a bronze medal beckons for the home nation. We look down from the drone, again, down to turn 11, the different line that the Germany and United Kingdom entries take, but Wiebelhaus has a bigger gap coming off the corner.
Yeah, and another gap closing, just looking down, is Switzerland behind Lithuania, now down to 0.3 of a second, so Mettler potentially going to be up to 4th in the next few laps. Froggatt still pushing on, bit of a gap to the Mercedes, sorry. That needs to be as close as possible because that puts so much more pressure on the driver when they catch that French car. If he's closer, they don't get the opportunity to back out of a move. They have to strike, otherwise they will be overtaken themselves. So I think this is what Froggatt needs to knuckle down now, this first part of the lap, as we go to that battle I alluded to. Switzerland all over the back of Lithuania. Can he get the run? We saw they had a bit of a straight line advantage at times on the headlight flasher. Lithuania pulling away, if anything. You can see the gap coming down and down over the last 3 laps. Doesn't look like he's going to get him into turn number 1. We've got so much action to watch here. It's quite frenetic.
Indeed so. So this is for 4th. Remember, Lithuania versus Switzerland, and Yannick Mettler, the Swiss driver, again goes for the inside. You get the feeling in this it is going to be when, not if, he gets through, whereas life is a bit tougher for Chris Froggatt. But Yannick Mettler was really, really quick in his stint in the qualifying race. Now, that's not to say that Jonas Karklis for Lithuania is a slow driver, because he's doing a good job at the moment of doing decent lap times and also hanging on to that place. The Lithuanian Audi then accelerating up towards turn 5. The leaders have just caught the gap down a little bit between the two. So United Kingdom coming back at Germany, but Jonas Karklis, who's been racing in the German-based GT Championship this season, has got Switzerland's Yannick Mettler right up behind him. This is turn 8 that they're coming into, and were Mettler to get by, he might be able to do something about Spain before the end of the race. So it's important that he gets on with the programme here. He's fully aware of that. Race leaders are over at turn 13. This is coming out of turn 11 now for the 4th and 5th place battle, and Switzerland again thinks about the inside, but it is not an easy track around which to overtake. Up through turn 12 they go. The lead gap, incidentally, as they have just gone over the timing line, is now 0.4 of a second, and Yannick Mettler for Switzerland crawling all over the back of Lithuania. The Audi repels the Mercedes AMG. They come up towards the timing line. Is this the part of the racetrack that favours the Mercedes? First of all, he's got to pull back, what, 2-3 lengths? over the line they come. Mettler for Switzerland thinks about the inside line, but he just did not get there in time. So that Audi has got a good turn of speed here.
Yeah, it's doing really well, holding off the Swiss car. The other interesting bit, the lead battle, just looking out the window, they've actually cleared the French back marker, so that won't come into play for the two leaders. They were 0.6 of a second faster than the China car in front, so that might come into play. But remember, United Kingdom with that 5-second penalty, I think this is now getting less and less likely as we cut back to them. You can see the French car in the background. That got out the way for these two, so didn't come into consideration to help the United Kingdom try to get past this car. Remember how much pace Chris Froggatt had and caught up to Germany, but hasn't been able to do anything since apart from get a 5-second penalty.
And get frustrated, I guess, as well, when he can't find a way through. The team may or may not yet have communicated that penalty to him. Were he to get the lead, they might say, right, come on, Chris, now you've got to push by a further 5 seconds. But right now, it is Germany being given a penalty as well. So that negates it all, doesn't it, in a sense, because you add 5 seconds to both of these. So it's going to be whoever crosses the line first. James Cottingham has a rueful laugh at that. Anything you can do, we can do. So Germany, the penalty now is irrelevant to a degree. It's going to be whichever car crosses the line first.
Yeah, they've both hit the post, so who's going to score and get it in the net now? I would have thought the team had told Chris Froggatt in the United Kingdom he had a penalty. Now they'll be telling him he got another penalty. Is that going to re-energise him to mount another attack? There's the gap to the China car. Maybe it won't come into play. Pace being really, really good of Ling, so they might not get it. Look how well-placed car that is. Can he get it to the inside here? Into the gap is open. Is there going to be contact? Yes, there is. Where's it going to go? They swap positions. There was contact, and my first view of it was the same as James Cottingham. I think I would be happy with that as a driver. I think he was alongside enough. Yes, there was contact, but I think he was there at the apex.
So the United Kingdom takes over the lead of the GT main race, and Chris Froggatt now just has to stay ahead. Both of these cars have a 5-second penalty, so it kind of cancels out the other. So now it is up to Finn Wiebelhaus, if he can, to try to get back in front. 12 minutes on the clock, and a very happy James Cottingham watching from the pit lane. Now we'll see Chris Froggatt, who knows this car inside out, trying to get away. Wiebelhaus now on the lights, trying to distract Froggatt. But in the earlier race, Chris Froggatt was able to make good progress away from that Mercedes, and I suspect the same is going to happen here. So it was a bold move, but Chris Froggatt was very definitely re-energised, wasn't he? And was able to force his way up on the inside. So Chris Froggatt takes the race lead, but he's had another track limit warning. So he's not out of the woods yet, because he's now on 6 track limit warnings.
So he's got 2 more, I believe. Then it'd be a 10-second penalty, so 5 seconds more than the Germany car behind. It'd be good to see a replay again. My initial reaction was that it was a fair move. Why do I think that? I felt like the United Kingdom car was on the apex curve of turn number 5. If you're there, where else can you go? He was alongside enough for it to be a legitimate move, and I think Germany just about gave enough room, then closed the door towards the end. That was my initial reaction. Let's watch the replay and see if it backs up. We go on board. This is going to be perfect. So we get a great run out of here. We go to the inside. There's a gap there. We get to the inside. We're on the apex curve. I have to admit, we were further back than I thought, but we were on the apex. Could Germany have given some space to the United Kingdom and then had the inside into the following corner? I don't know. It's a hard one to call from that interior shot.
Yeah, Wiebelhaus straight away on the lights saying, I'm not happy about that, but he wouldn't be happy having lost a place even if there weren't contact. So nothing has come up on the timing screen for the message line to say contact noted or incident under investigation. So for the moment, the battle carries on between United Kingdom and Germany, and Wiebelhaus is not falling away markedly. The gap has stretched a little bit on this lap, but the Ferrari has not disappeared up the road. So Finn Wiebelhaus is doing his best to stay in touch. Late braking down towards turn 14 with just over 10 minutes of the race to go. What he needs to do is try and force Chris Froggatt into more track limit errors and try and force another penalty the Ferrari's way.
Yeah, roles are reversed now, aren't they? But the pace is with the Ferrari. I think he just probably needs a couple of laps and he'll just be able to build that gap as we go back to this other intense battle, Switzerland versus Lithuania. Last time we looked at it, it looked like this, and 3 laps later, it still looks like this. Yannick Mettler super frustrated, I'd imagine, right now, because he knows he's got better pace, but can't find a gap past the Lithuanian Audi.
Down to turn 1 then, still nose to tail, and Yannick Mettler getting ever more frustrated, but now he does make a move coming off turn 1. Finally, Switzerland is able to pounce, and the job is secured at turn 2. Through on the inside line he goes. Switzerland now up into 4th place, and there's still a chance of catching Spain before the very end, because now that he's been released, Yannick Mettler for Switzerland is going to be absolutely flying.
Yeah, their fastest laps of the race, Spain versus Switzerland, 8/10 different. So the gap now, 5 seconds, there's chance, there is a chance. Can he do it?
Chris Froggatt has had a driving standards flag. He's on 8 track limit warnings now, so he's getting perilously close to another penalty. He's got 9 minutes of this race. He's under attack, he's under pressure, but he's on 8 track limit warnings.
And what's he done? A purple sector 1.
Yeah,
so
indeed.
I'm not quite sure the team have communicated this in the correct manner of how to strategize this race. Has he done 9 minutes without doing a track limit penalty so far? No. We need a wholesale change in that United Kingdom garage, and they need to be going exactly there. There's the Germany team pointing that out. But you're right, 8 track limits there is very, very aggressive.
He's on 9 now. He's up to 9. Chris Froggatt is on 9 track limit warnings as he comes across the line. France are on 13, and they've had penalties. So the lead car, and it leads only by 7/10 of a second, is getting perilously close, as I say, to a pit stop penalty. 10 seconds for the United Kingdom for track limits. So Chris Froggatt, I'm afraid to say, gets a 10-second penalty, and the United Kingdom are in strife. And now this is going to favour Germany. There they are in the garage. Hubert Haupt says, is that going to help us? You bet it's going to help.
You probably can't believe it, in all honesty. There was one thing the United Kingdom needed to not do, and it's exactly what they've done. So this is really in the favour of Germany. Just to quantify, he's done 5 more track limits than Germany, so it's not likely that Germany are now going to do 5 more to make theirs 10 seconds. So I think that is race decided on the track limit penalty, and the United Kingdom have got 5 seconds more than Germany.
Now it's come up on the screen as a pit stop penalty of 10 seconds. In other words, my interpretation, the car has to pit for 10 seconds, which would be the equivalent of a stop-go. Or are we just going to add 10 seconds on at the end because there isn't enough time left for making a pit stop? Your call.
I hope that was rhetorical, because I don't know.
No,
but,
well, yeah, but
I would agree, the way it's written, pit stop, you are stopping in the pits.
Absolutely.
And that will probably equate to around 35 seconds of time lost, which will really change it, and there will be no medal for the United Kingdom.
So right now, 6/10 of a second is the margin between the United Kingdom and Germany. What this might do, of course, is help the charging Switzerland, because if Yannick Mettler can get up with Spain and get through, incidentally, Finn Wiebelhaus has just done the fastest lap of the race, so he's been re-energised by all of this. He's closing back up on the United Kingdom and does the best lap of anybody in the race. Spain to Switzerland is 4.3 seconds. If we got Switzerland up to 3rd, could they capitalise? No, a little bit too far back on United Kingdom. So on the track, the UK is leading. France is on a 10-second penalty for track limit offences. They're up to 15. So Chris Froggatt, or the United Kingdom rather's 9, is kind of nothing at all in comparison to 15 track limit warnings. I think Paul Everard for France has just got so fed up with this race. He's throwing everything to the wind, doesn't really mind. They're not going to win the gold, so what the heck? It's not like there were championship points available. There is the charging Switzerland. Yannick Mettler in 4th place, 4 seconds back from Spain, and lapping only about half a second a lap quicker. So he's not storming up onto the back with now just under 6 minutes to go.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big ask, as we see Navarrete looking on. I think he's probably been my driver of the weekend, to be fair, with the experience that he'd had in the GT3 car being 0, and the performance, and even just the attitude of the car when he was in it. The body language looked so aggressive. I did enjoy that. You can see the gap there between Spain and Switzerland, 3.8 seconds. They're going to get time for 4 more laps. I don't think there's a chance for Switzerland to get up to the bronze position.
So United Kingdom leading on the track, but it is Germany that is set to inherit the lead and the gold medal. Finn Wiebelhaus would love to win on the road, but a win is a win is a win. So as the cars accelerate now up towards the timing line, does Chris Froggatt know in that car of the penalties that are heading his way, or is he driving this thinking that the race is his and all he has to do now is fend off the Mercedes?
I assume the team have told him he might be driving in denial, but I think he would have the information. The only thing he can do is he can do another 4 track limits until he gets 15 seconds and use those 4 extra track limits to try and build the gap, another 4.2 seconds to make it a solid 5 over Germany. But yeah, look at the pace of Mettler, 9/10 on the last lap. Maybe we're going to get a race on our hands here for the last place. I didn't realise quite how much pace he's got over that Audi, and gap now down to 2.7 seconds. Great pace from Switzerland.
Yeah, Yannick Mettler underlining why we think he's very good, and he and Dexter Müller a regular driver combination, so they work well as a partnership together. And there you've got Switzerland with that really creative way they've done the livery for that car, coming now out of turn number 9, the kink at 10 and up to 11 with 4 minutes and change on the clock. Lead gap 7/10 of a second. That's certainly not enough to clear the 10-second penalty. Having accrued the penalty now, Chris Froggatt seems to have calmed down because the track limit warnings have not increased.
Yes, he's got 4 to spare, like I said, so we might as well use them now. Be interesting to get James Cottingham's view on it, wouldn't it? Especially while the adrenaline's high. Has he just been robbed of a gold medal through no fault of his own? He had his own track limit warnings, but he hadn't attracted a penalty. So, yeah, be interesting to see how that pans out. What's the gap between Switzerland and Spain as they break the line? Down to 2.2. This is going to be really close. Catching's one thing, overtaking's another.
Yeah. Bear in mind, just going back to the UK and track limits, Chris Froggatt picked up a 5-second penalty, didn't he, in his stint in the first race, but he's gone overboard this time with the 5-second and then a further 10 being applied. So a 5-second and a 10, and that is just about going to keep him in second place, but it's getting a bit touch and go now because Spain is not that far away from the 15-second mark. However, it in turn is being caught by the charging Yannick Mettler. And I still come back to the fact that if Switzerland can get past the Audi, you then take those combined penalties for United Kingdom, they could slip to third.
Yeah, the gap now under 2 seconds, 1.7 seconds. This Mercedes, we've seen the Germany Mercedes really seem to struggle on its tyre. Quite the opposite. Very good team running it in SPS for Switzerland. And like you said, Mettler and Müller driving together for many, many years. Mettler, not only fast, really nice as well. Really a frustrating thing when you're racing against someone that's good and nice. When you're side to side of them, it's a bit harder to be horrible and push them off. Yannick Mettler, one of the good guys in motorsport. And it's good to see how much pace he's had all weekend as well.
Yeah, very experienced in GT terms, whether it's been in GT World Challenge, in International GT Open, in American races. He's getting ever closer, isn't he, to Jorge Cabezas for Spain. The clock has just over 2 minutes still to run as they come through, so they've got 2 more laps potentially, and the margin between them was 2.2 seconds last time. This time it is 1.2 seconds, so a really good lap by Yannick Mettler. But just the fact that he's getting closer doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get by, because as we've seen, the balance performance works that, okay, the cars might be able to lap differently, but when you get them together, they run so equally, it's hard to get by.
Yeah, and we've seen some great overtakes from Mettler, but we know the Audi's fast at the end of the straight, so it's not going to be an easy job there. He will be thinking all the time. Drivers just weighing up where they think they're strong. Here we have Japan in that Ferrari chasing Chinese Taipei. Big slide out 12 to the inside for Japan. That looks like that should be job done as well. Great move, getting the cutback done. And remember that Japan driver is a bronze driver as well against silver. So Wakasako's done a mega job all day, and a great way to end the weekend for him.
And so that is Peter Yang for Chinese Taipei losing a place, and it's a reversal therefore for 7th position, as on the road Chris Froggatt still leads, and he is about to start the last lap as he slides out of turn 14. He'll see the Mercedes in his mirrors, and James Cottingham thinks, but we were going to win a medal, we were going to win a gold. And over the line, the car comes with a lap to go. Unless problems hit that Mercedes, it's going to be a win for Germany. Chris Froggatt has just done the fastest lap of the race, 1:33.059. But the frustration is huge for that team now. United Kingdom on the verge of a gold medal, and track limit penalties have been there to ensnare them. I'm just pausing because China has been given a penalty for gaining an advantage outside of track limits. So Kang Ling has been given a penalty, but not for exceeding track limits, but for gaining an advantage by going off the track to gain a position. And there, look at this, for third, all of a sudden, Spain, Switzerland together, and Switzerland on its toes. Yannick Mettler hustling on. This, the last lap of the race. This for a medal. Spain, Switzerland, nose to tail. Out of turn 4 they come, short straight. Mercedes wider into the corner. Yannick Mettler trying to dodge around, trying to force an error out of Jorge Cabezas for Spain. They're up at turn 5. The race leaders, of course, ahead of them on the lap, heading towards the checkered flag, and then the unravelling with the penalties and a mistake by Spain. Door open, Switzerland goes through, contact. Mercedes clatters into the side as Spain tried to rejoin, but the place is taken by Switzerland in a pretty forceful way.
Yeah, brutal for Spain. Got on the throttle too early. Car snapped him oversteer, hopped him over the curb, and he lost the place. The contact was Spain rejoining rather than Switzerland driving into him as we go back to the leaders.
One corner to go, checkered flag at the ready. On the road, United Kingdom is going to win, but on corrected times, it's going to be gold for Germany in GT. Chris Froggett crosses the line ahead of Finn Wiebelhaus, but Germany will take the gold medal with the penalties to the United Kingdom, and Germany delighted. There's applause, there are smiles, and it's going to be a rather po-faced garage, no doubt, for the UK. But we need to see how close to 15 seconds behind the UK entry the Mercedes of Switzerland is. Up towards the line they come, and I think United Kingdom are going to be good in that second place as across the line goes Switzerland. And yes, third, it's a bronze medal. James Cottingham thinks, well, okay, at least we hung on to that, but frustration that it wasn't a gold. So Germany, United Kingdom, Switzerland, and on the last lap that was a tough battle for a medal.
What a race, all the way
Brilliant,
through.
wasn't it?
The drama was great. I think the result is ultimately fair. The track limit penalties have just hurt the United Kingdom too much. I still maintain it was a fair move to get the overtake done, but there are our winners, and congratulations to Germany.
Yeah, indeed. There was nothing ever from race control querying that move at United Kingdom on Germany, and the track limit penalties were there. You know, it's monitored. There is telemetry to prove whether you have or haven't done so. But fantastic. Finn Wiebelhaus and Hubert Haupt are gold medalists.
And potentially for the team, Haupt's racing team himself, is this their last time in a Mercedes before they go to Ford? What a way to end that relationship with a gold medal.
Indeed, so they've got that car out tomorrow in GT Sprint. Finn Wiebelhaus will drive solo in the 40-minute race, but yeah, it's their last weekend representing Mercedes-AMG. There is a Ford programme for next year, we understand, for Haupt Racing Team. It's been a great association with Mercedes-AMG, and yeah, a good way to round it out with not just a race win, but a gold medal as well. The German drivers in a German brand taking gold. So Yannick Mettler then in this great battle with a sideways Jorge Cabezas, who tried to get back on the road, and bang.
Yeah, Mettler wasn't moving over to make that easy. It was a fair bit of contact, to be fair. Not malicious, just desperate, I think. And
Mettler in the middle.
Yeah, in Spain, unfortunate there, just probably panicking on how quickly Mettler caught, got greedy with the throttle, and around came the rear.
So the result, with the penalties applied, confirms that win for Germany, and 8.5 seconds being the margin. Don't forget, Germany also had a 5-second penalty, but the extra 10 for the UK, negating that and putting United Kingdom entry to second. Switzerland for the bronze medal then, ahead of Spain. Lithuania 5th, Ukraine 6th, Japan ahead of Chinese Taipei, China ahead of Qatar, Malaysia 11th, and with innumerable penalties. France, plus a pit stop, it was enforced, and 23 track limit warnings. France in 12th. They were the gold medalists 2 years ago, but the gold medal in GT in the 2024 FIA Motorsport Games will go to Germany. It will go to Finn Wiebelhaus and Hubert Haupt. Well, it was a race that kept us talking all the way through, wasn't it? Fantastic racing and some good scraps all the way through. The qualifying race was interesting enough, but that was a proper one. And yeah, you could argue it's a shame that track limit penalties affect the result, but you know, some drivers obeyed the rules, others were a little bit more cavalier about them, and the way to avoid the penalties, don't exceed the track limits.
And it's fair. I know to the viewer at home it might feel a little beige, but these track limits are clinical. There's cameras, straight to race control. There's no beige whatsoever. It's black and white, and that's how it should be decided.
And we're not quite done yet with penalties, because Chinese Taipei has just picked up a 30-second penalty for having more than 2 mechanics working on the car in the pit stop. So although the result at the moment shows them as 8th, that might well be changing pretty shortly. So the confirmed result of this will be in due course, but it ain't over till it's over. Well, what a race, and the Team Germany car drives through the paddock, heading to the village where the podium will be, the fan village, a key part of the FIA Motorsport Games, and there you can see the podium, the stage, and the car arrives then for the drivers to clamber from it, or the driver, and join his co-driver Hubert Haupt. It's a great way of doing the podium, this. Instead of it being in the pit lane, you take the car to the fans, and the German contingent, I'm sure, are going to be absolutely delighted with that. I think I'm right in saying that that is Germany's first medal of the Games, subject to anything else that's happening away from esports. Hubert Haupt is the first one to congratulate Finn Wiebelhaus, and a huge cheer goes up in the background. Brilliant stuff then. And Team Germany takes gold in Spain. Pirelli caps for our winning drivers. Finn Wiebelhaus ready to take off a sort of stealth-like crash helmet. No colours, and rather sinister it looks as Hubert Haupt helps his co-driver. So a great job done, and Finn Wiebelhaus was soaking up all of that pressure. Just a small mistake that opened the door. It'll be interesting to hear his thoughts on that robust move from Chris Froggatt. But Team Germany takes gold, and Hubert Haupt and Finn Wiebelhaus are with Antonio Rankin.
Oh, congratulations, guys. Well done.
That's a
yeah,
dinner.
Oh, okay, maybe. Right, well done, guys. Congratulations. That was very well earned.
Yeah, thank you very much. It was a good race, close one in the end. Yeah, but we stayed off track limits, and yeah, that's the key.
Yeah, well, absolutely amazing. Germany won.
That was really a difficult race at some points there. Track limits became a really big issue. How did you manage to stay on the track?
Just stay on track, it's not a big deal. I mean, if you stay on track, for sure you're slower, but I could still do the fastest lap, so for me it was no issue.
It was really hard. Everyone had track limits, but we had one less.
You did so well, guys. Congratulations, go celebrate.
And those celebrations are starting just about now, aren't they? So really happy, Hubert Haupt. He has been a long time racer, and it's great, isn't it, to see that combination with, we touched on it earlier on in the weekend, but the sort of old stager, the old master, Hubert Haupt and Finn Wiebelhaus, who you get the feeling you're going to hear a lot more of in his GT racing career, and that is a really good way to round out a first full season in GT3 racing.
Yeah, a wise head on young shoulders, it seems, in Wiebelhaus there. So hopefully he can keep going with this winning way.
Indeed so. Looking down then from the drone across the paddock, the drift track is there. The celebrations are going on with the flag. And a fantastic race for Team Germany, rather less so for United Kingdom. They can reflect on that in due course as well. To decide the medals in GT, a 1-hour race blasted into life with United Kingdom and Germany going toe-to-toe down to the first corner. And although United Kingdom took the advantage, it wasn't long before Germany, thanks to Hubert Haupt, was able to muscle through on the inside up at turn 2. Little brush between them, it got a bit physical, and James Cottingham went out wide. That gave Germany the race lead, United Kingdom second, and Switzerland in third spot. And that would be the situation for much of the opening part of the race, as drama behind took France, Chinese Taipei and China all in the wars. With the wrong tyre pressures set, China and France had to make enforced pit stops to see the scrutineers and the tyre technicians, and when the pit window opened there was trouble for the United Kingdom. That hesitant getaway from the Ferrari cost them time, and it meant that Chris Froggatt had to do a lot of catching up against Finn Wiebelhaus, and catch up he did. He slashed the gap and then spent many a lap glued to the back of Team Germany. Driver change for Spain as Fernando Navarrete gave way to Jorge Cabezas, and they were looking for a medal until the very last lap, but a delighted Navarrete had enjoyed himself in his first GT3 outing in an Audi. France, Qatar, China all busy squabbling, and a great effort by China gained 2 places virtually in one. Then for the race lead, United Kingdom saw half a gap. Chris Froggatt put the Ferrari on the inside, and with a bit of contact he was through. It looked as though it was going to be a win for the United Kingdom, but there were track limit penalties coming. First for the UK at 5 seconds, and then 5 seconds for Germany, and then a further 10 for United Kingdom. And for third on the last lap, contact and a change, Switzerland moved ahead of Spain. So, United Kingdom crossed the line first, but with effectively 15 seconds worth of penalties over the 5 seconds of penalties for Germany, it meant that Germany would take the gold medal. Up to the line came United Kingdom to win on the road, but Finn Wiebelhaus and Hubert Haupt win GT gold medal for Germany at the end of a great race. So the drivers will go to the podium shortly. That's in the fan village, and you can see there are plenty of fans here, which is really good to see at Valencia. Many, I suspect, circuit race fans, many people also just enjoying motorsport for the first time. And James Cottingham is forcing a smile.
Yes, right smile indeed. Hard and fair racing on track at least, so there's no issues between the two driver crews there. Interesting to see where Chris Froggatt is and the body language between the two British drivers.
Indeed so. Chris Froggatt will be on his way, and so also will Dexter Müller and Yannick Mettler for the bronze medal. So Finn Wiebelhaus there in the middle, Hubert Haupt nearest to us, and the drivers will in a few moments make their way up onto that podium. So 8.5 seconds, the winning margin in quotes between Germany and the UK, even though it was the other way around when they crossed the line. But a really interesting race, and considering that it hasn't got a monster entry, it was fascinating all the way through, and some really good racing, and interesting too to see how different drivers have got faster and faster over the course of the weekend. So the Valencia circuit team getting ready on that podium to call forward the victors. And there, Chris Froggatt and James Cottingham ruefully making their way towards the steps, followed by Yannick Mettler and Dexter Müller, and also to Finn Wiebelhaus and Hubert Haupt as our gold medal winners for Germany. The podium then will be coming up very shortly, and it's Germany that takes gold. Looking down into the village, looking down at the podium area, which is where the medals are going to be presented shortly. United Kingdom for silver, gold for Germany, and bronze for Switzerland. At the end of our GT main race, there with the beard is Dexter Müller for Switzerland, and Yannick Mettler. He deserved a bronze, didn't he? That was a really, really hard stint he drove.
Yeah, mega effort. And yeah, Müller has put a lot of faith in Mettler, been driving together for quite a few years, like we said. Really good characters as well. But actually crashed into Dexter Müller rather hard in the qualifying session at Monza, and he found it very funny. And yeah, generally nice guy. So I think the podium has been well decided, and everyone is in their rightful position.
And a beaming Stefan Rattel, who I think will have enjoyed watching that because it was a great race. So the third place drivers then make their way onto the podium. The bronze medalists are here, and it is for Switzerland, Dexter Müller and Yannick Mettler, who are on the podium. Then for second, for silver, United Kingdom's Chris Froggatt and James Cottingham. Chris Froggatt is the one that walks up first and kind of has to accept the fate, really. There's no arguing with the ref on those track limits with the amount of data that there is and telemetry that there is available these days. But even though they got a penalty, it's still a win, and it's gold for Team Germany, for Hubert Haupt and for Finn Wiebelhaus. The top step, the gold medal, will go to Germany. So the drivers all present and correct, and the national anthem now of the winning nation. So for Team Germany then, the national anthem plays, and the drivers ready to receive medals. The podium, which is going to be a very busy place over the weekend, because it's not just used, of course, for the race categories, but for everything that's here at the track. And then, of course, at the end of Sunday, there is the closing ceremony where everybody is celebrated. But there are the medals for Switzerland, the bronze medal to Dexter Müller, now to Yannick Mettler. Then at the other end of the podium, silver awaits for United Kingdom, Chris Froggatt and James Cottingham. The first time they've been a partnership. wonder whether it will be one that continues or whether it's going to be a one-off. We'll see. There from Team Spain come the medals for United Kingdom drivers, James Cottingham and Chris Froggatt. Well, they gave it a good shot, didn't they? Tried as hard as possible. Handshakes to our gold and bronze medalists too. And then we'll get the medals presented to Finn Wiebelhaus, to Hubert Haupt as the winners of the GT discipline at the 2024 FIA Motorsport Games. And this is quite something for the drivers. Medals, of course, not that common. It's normally a trophy, but it's a great concept. And you can see a very proud Hubert Haupt. He wins for his country, he wins for his team, and he wins for his co-driver, he wins for himself. Great efforts, and truly a really, really good race.
Yeah, Megan, it's really good as a driver to get something different to a trophy. All they ever end up doing is stop your roof blowing away stuck in your attic, so a much more socially acceptable size thing you could display in your house with great pride. But yeah, I think Froggatt there will be thinking it probably is the wrong colour as he drives all the way back to the hotel in the hard shoulder.
Absolutely right. So Chris Froggatt then with James Cottingham. They're ready to celebrate with the champagne. James knows exactly how to make a big fizz out of this as he bangs it on the step, but I'm afraid the UK a bit slow with the corks. But Hubert Haupt soaks everybody. Finn Wiebelhaus races again tomorrow in GT Sprint, but that is the end of the weekend as far as Chris Froggatt and James Cottingham are concerned. Their work is done, and they bring silver for United Kingdom, bronze for Switzerland, and the gold medal to Germany at the end of a really enthralling GT 1-hour medal-winning race. The GT3 category, a mainstay of the FIA Motorsport Games. And at the end of a great race, Finn Wiebelhaus and Hubert Haupt win in GT for Team Germany.
Hubert Haupt and Finn Wiebelhaus.